Welcome to Heart Midlands Stronger Practice Hub webinar on the prime area of physical development. Physical development in the early years foundation stage is the process by which children learn and develop basic movement skills from birth through their first 5 years. It includes the development of gross motor skills, which are large muscle movements, and fine motor skills, which include hand-eye coordination and smaller movements. Today, we're going to share with you our journey in developing our outdoor play environment using open-ended free resources. We're also going to take a brief look at evidence-informed practice for this valuable area of learning. We're a children's charity based in inner city Birmingham. Birmingham is a very big city that is split into 69 wards. We are situated in the Alum Rock area. This is a densely populated area, and the Income Deprivation Affecting Children Index measures the proportion of all children aged 0 to 15 living in income-deprived families as high. Alum Rock is the 17th most deprived. Foundation stage profile data also shows that Alum Rock has the lower than national average in all areas, including physical development. So this continues to be a key area of focus for us. So our starting point was the children. We initially sat together and thought about what we wanted. The list was endless. We wanted equipment that was open-ended, multi-purpose, developed all areas of learning, and also cheap or where possible free. You do sometimes go down a bit of a Pinterest hole searching for images, which is okay, but you also need to ensure that you retain the focus upon what is important to develop children's physical development. So it was really about knowing and remembering why we wanted to develop, what we wanted to develop, and then looking at how we wanted to develop the area to ensure that children's physical development skills were developed holistically. We also did some consultation with the children on what they would like to see in the space. They said a variety of things. They wanted somewhere where they can cook, they wanted somewhere to climb, and more importantly, they wanted somewhere that they could hide. So it is very much, we started our journey very much looking at reclaimed treasures. We know our community well, we know its richness, its diversity, and also its needs. Parents were constantly telling us that their children have no safe spaces to play. Our home visits also showed us that children also had limited green spaces as back gardens had been slabbed over. However, as many of us here in this room know, we didn't have a pot of funding to revamp our area. So we went on a bit of a salvage mission and started off with 3 things. First of all, we contacted local garages and asked for spare tyres. As with all equipment that we use, we risk assess those before we put them in the area. So we washed them with hot soapy water, checked that there was no nails, and also drilled small holes in for drainage to stop pooling and stagnant water. We also rang artificial grass companies and asked for offcuts, which we put outside to green up the area. They're also really good because they get damp underneath. They've got a constant source to find bugs underneath them. Also, it is very much about looking for those reclaimed treasures and those free resources. And obviously, sometimes being spontaneous. That's why sometimes it takes a lot of time to build up these reclaimed treasures. Our road got closed off, and we asked if we could have some cones, and we used those for den making. Also, the trees were being cut down at the top of the road, so we asked whether we could have the tree stumps. We also have lots of fabric shops here in Alum Rock, which have lots of large tubes. We also asked them if we could have the tubes that children love rolling balls down them, or just carrying them, or having them as part of their den making. So as you can see from the slides, here's just a few more images of how we use the reclaimed treasures. So supermarkets, we went and got some crates. We also asked families if they had any old saucepans or metal cooking instruments, planks. As you can see, acorns, children collecting those when we went on nature walks. It is all very much about these natural reclaimed treasures. So as I just mentioned, we also asked parents as well and the community. We got them involved as well. We spoke to them about the fact that we wanted to redesign our outdoor area using natural resources, free resources, things that are open-ended. So we asked parents for any spare pots and pans, spoons, boxes, fabric, lots of different things. It also therefore made it a community project, so there was that sense of ownership and that sense of cohesion. We know the important role that we play, but this is especially important within the outdoor area. We also looked at our attitudes to outdoor play, and we had an open and frank discussion about weather, clothing, and one member of staff really opened up about how when they were young they weren't allowed to play outside in the rain as their parents thought that they would get a cold. They really discussed that it took them a long time to change these habits and think about now saying there's no such thing as inappropriate weather but inappropriate clothing. So the role that you play within the outdoor area and your attitudes and how the children see you engaging in the outdoor area is a really important. So that was a brief overview of our journey, and I'm pleased to say that it's had massive benefits on children's well-being and also their physical development. We all know what we are doing has massive benefits on children. On average, children who take part in physical development interventions make around 5 additional months' progress in cognitive outcomes. Physical development approaches aim to improve young children's physical growth, skills, and health. Activities in this area may be focused on a particular aspect of physical development. So, for example, fine motor skills related to writing, or more general, for instance, encouraging active outdoor play or interacting physical development approaches with other early years activities. The QR code on the screen takes you directly to the Early Years Evidence Store website, where you can find lots of more interesting research on this area. On this slide, we have the Early Years Evidence Store. There is some really good evidence for your own continuing professional development or staff team to support this area of learning on the Evidence Store. The Evidence Store is a summary of evidence-informed approaches to help educators to understand and reflect on their practice. These are based around the areas of learning that are known to be important for children's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Each theme has a set of evidence-informed approaches which include information on the strength of the evidence and a definition of the approach. Each one is supported by a list of practices which are typically part of the delivery of the approach and help explain how the approach could be implemented with children in earlier settings. When using the Evidence Store, focus on the approaches. Although many of the approaches will seem familiar, really take time to engage with the summary of the evidence, what's important in putting these into practice, and what it could mean for your setting. Each approach includes a summary of the evidence, a snapshot film showing what the approach might look like, a list of practices that may be used to implement the approach, short spotlight videos, and written scenarios to see the practices in action on the screen. You have a QR code on the screen that takes you directly to the Evidence Store. I'd really encourage everybody to have a look. There's some fantastic resources on there. The Evidence Store supports approaches through a pedagogical continuum. The pedagogical continuum spans adult-led and child-led learning experiences, including adult-led teaching time, guided play, and free play, representing the varied ways in which educators support with children's learning and development. The Early Years Evidence Store demonstrates that the approaches and practices can be implemented with children across all of these contexts for teaching and learning. The Evidence Store has a short video exemplification of how to adapt these approaches into your practice. We're going to focus upon teaching skills needed for mark making and letter formation. I've chosen this one to watch in particular because it is one of our Stronger Practice Hub partners. If you follow the QR code on the screen, it will take you directly to the video. So now we have watched the video, we're going to explore the approaches in action. On the screen, we have the written exemplification for the approaches. You can see how Leanne models how to make marks for various purposes across different contexts. You can see how she narrates, uses theme-specific language to provide a running commentary of the mark-making process throughout. You can see how she demonstrates how to use different tools and resources and instruments in various ways to engage in mark making. And you can also see how she uses repetition. So she provides opportunities to repeat and practice a particular movement to support future letter formation. So to support the written exemplification on the previous slide, the video is then clicked to show these approaches in action. You can see on the screen the part where Leanne models how to paint a circle. Then you can see and watch how Leanne uses narrating when providing a running commentary as she paints lines with the children. You can see how Leanne demonstrates how to use a paintbrush in a different way. And again, you can see how Leanne uses repetition when providing opportunities for the children to repeat and practice painting circles. So the video is then further broken down to bring these approaches to life and give examples of how it can be done in your everyday practice. To ensure that we plan activities and webinars that are suitable and relevant to you, we need to know what your setting needs. Please fill out the form linked to the QR code and we will use the information to help us plan resources, support training and network events. Also, just a quick reminder of our website. Please take a look on the Birmingham Early Years Network Stronger Practice Hub tab for any upcoming events, news and blogs. Lastly, we also have on our website our takeaway guides for physical development. Here you can explore in depth the theme of physical development, the links between physical development and other areas, how to support children's development and what the evidence says. There's also some approaches in action from local providers, wake up and shake up session and action rhymes, so please take a look at this. Lastly, once again, we have our QR code to contact us. Thank you.